Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my podcast. This is your boy, Carl E. Long, coming to you from Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Yes, hope you're having an awesome day. Um, this is a strange night. This is a strange night because what time is it? It is 12:35 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I had the overwhelming urge to write down a few notes, and I felt like talking. So, this particular episode is an off the cuff version of my podcast. I don't know if you are a artist type like me, but when I get an idea or a vision of sorts, I have to do something about it. So, I needed to talk. I'm an artistic person, I sing, I dance, I choreograph, I do all kinds of things with computers. I'm technical. I write a little bit. So, I'm just a creative of sorts. So when the creativeness hits you, you just got to hit it. And that's what's happening right now here at 12:36 a.m. in the morning. Should be fast asleep. We have an early day tomorrow. But I needed to talk because I've been reflecting on a lot of things this week from when I started doing this podcast. What I had to do in order to cover what I promised to cover, which was the political climate of what's going on, that meant I had to bathe myself again in all of the news. And it has been taxing. It has been quite taxing on my psyche. I was supposed to be taking a sabbatical from politics and news just so that I can get my mind and my spirit right, because I'm the kind of person that when I do something, I go all the way into it. So I took a little break right after the election, and that was a good break. It really did help me. It did help me. But now, since I've committed to doing this podcast and doing something for the movement, it's just kind of got to me again as to what's happening in this country. And I have some thoughts about it. So, what is happening, guys? What is actually happening in our country? For those of you who are old enough to know, that have been around here a long time, things are changing. I mean, I know the world is changing. Social media changed the whole landscape of who we are. It just has. Technology has changed the whole landscape of who we are. And this little device right here, I'm holding up my iPhone here, changed who we are. So the world is a changing. It has changed. But what has that done to us as people? We don't feel anymore. I believe a lot of people are just numb, or just directionless and power driven and uncaring, could care less. What has happened to us as Americans? What has happened? So I had to take myself back. And so when I started writing my notes and everything, I said, why am I like I am? Why am I such, as the MAGA people will call me, a bleeding liberal as I am? So I had to think about it. So I had to take myself back to a point where I can remember as a child. And for some strange reason, I always joke about this with my friends. I was like, somebody wiped my entire childhood back, because I can't remember a lot of things in my childhood. And I'm very envious of people that can. Some people can remember things when they were 3 and 4. I don't. But I have these little pockets of major things that happened that I can remember. And it's kind of weird. And I've always wondered, did something traumatic happen to me that I can't remember stuff? I'm joking about it, but it really could. I don't know. But I can't remember a lot of stuff from my childhood. But what I do remember, which was quite vivid, was I probably was about, let's see, 1965. I probably was about 5 years old, going on to 6. And my dad and our family, it was, at the time, it was 5 of us. My baby brother wasn't born yet. And we had gotten the whole Jefferson thing, moving on up. Yeah. We grew up in Dallas, Texas. And we grew up initially in a portion of Dallas, was South Dallas. And that was where a lot of your African Americans lived. We lived in the southern Dallas, not South Dallas, not southern Dallas. There's a difference because there's other things in southern Dallas, but what we call South Dallas, which was primarily a black neighborhood. Prior to that, it was a major Jewish dwelling, South Dallas, but we lived in South Dallas, Big Sunny D. And my father has always been, and I learned a lot from my daddy, he's always been an ambitious man. So my dad had just gotten promoted. So he was now a manager of a company here in Dallas, and he was the manager of the warehouse. So he was actually considered to be management. As a matter of fact, we would attend events at this particular company in Dallas, Texas, and we would be the only black family there because my daddy was management over the warehouse, granted, but he was still management. He managed most of the people in the warehouse. There were white guys in there, but mostly black, and I think it was some Hispanic. I can't remember. It was mostly black back in those days. So we had gotten moved up. So what we did was in Dallas. Dallas is a very segregated city. As far as when I say segregated, I mean we live in our pockets. There's not a lot of. There are now, but back then there were white neighborhoods, there were black neighborhoods, there were affluent black neighborhoods, there were affluent. It was just like that. So you lived where you lived. And where we lived in South Dallas, we were moving to what the up and coming neighborhood is in Oak Cliff, Texas. And a portion of that was Singing Hills, Oak Cliff. That's where we migrated to. So, and a lot of white flight was going on. If y'all don't know what that is, when black people started moving into neighborhoods, most of the white inhabitants were starting to move. They was moving further south. So they were going to Duncanville and DeSoto, and those right now are all black. They're nice black neighborhoods. They were moving. They kept going south and south. So we moved into a neighborhood. I remember meeting the family of the house we were buying, and it was a nice white family because they gave us our first dog, 2 dogs we got from them. And they were showing us the house, My dad is very lovable and likable, and people of all races have always loved him. I'm a lot like him when it comes to that respect. And we moved on in to the neighborhood. So here we are, happy. We've got a beautiful new house. I mean, this is something that our house was nice in South Dallas, but it wasn't nothing like where we were moving to. We were moving on up to a very nice middle class neighborhood. At that point, it might have been called upper middle class in that time period, back in 65. That's how old I am. I'm dating myself. So we moved there. And it took me a long time to leave up that story, but I had to give you that so you can understand what my first remembrance of that period was the local. I remember my mother taking us to the local grocery store, and you know how they would leave kids in the car, let the window down, don't y'all do anything. But back now, you probably get arrested for doing that. But we were in the car. Mother just ran into the store. And mind you, this is still a predominantly white neighborhood. There have been black people that have moved in, but they are gradually moving out, but it's still predominantly white. So we move to the store. My baby brother at the time, Kenny, we were in the car and we were just playing like kids do. And then here comes a car of, I think, teenagers, maybe young adult white guys. I can still see a little bit of them. One of them, I can still see his hair. And I can see him when he was reaching back to spit totally in my baby brother's face. And then he yelled out, and I'm going to say it, effing N-word. I don't want to say it because, podcasts. Effing N-word. That's what he said. I didn't even know what that meant, to tell the truth. I'm 5. But the fact that they spit, I know that spitting in somebody's face is not nice. So I remember telling my mom about it, but I can't remember the story or what they said to us about something about people being ugly and whatever. But that was my first introduction into an integrated society. And it's ingrained in my head. I always tell this story because I can remember it being a kid, and these are older teenagers or young adults. Why would you do that to two little black kids just sitting in the car, window down? We're sticking our heads out and we're just playing and what kids do, and they spit on us. I'll never forget that. So that's my little integration story, and I wanted to tell that story because I want you to understand what makes us who we are as black people. What makes us who we are. And there's so much passion and fight in us because we've had to do it so much that it gets exhausting. And so in this new climate here and all this stuff is coming back, it's nightmarish for us, you know. And until you've been a black American and lived through parts of the civil rights movement, I lived long enough to remember when Martin Luther King died and what was going on. I can't remember a lot about it in schools because we were little at the time, but it was happening when I was small, so I know about it. And so that's the white flight. So years later, pretty much most of the white people that were in our neighborhood, they're all gone. They're gone quickly. I mean, quickly. There's only a sprinkle left in our neighborhood because I don't know what happened. Because the law had passed laws, where we could live where we wanted to live. So we started doing that. But it didn't work out too well. It didn't work out too that well. So time goes on, and our schools are now just pretty much all black schools. My elementary school is pretty much all black. There may be a couple of white kids still in the school, but pretty much all black. And then comes the desegregation laws, where they forced us into desegregation. At the 7th grade is when that happened. For me, the 7th grade. And I've noticed that some people said that this happened earlier for them in the North, but in Texas, where I'm from, it was the 7th grade. So we get our letter. Dad's reading the newspaper. They're calling the school to find out what school we go to. And we had a unique situation because the school that I was going to, my junior high school, wasn't quite built yet. It wasn't built yet. So we had to be separated into different places. Some of us was at an army base. Some were at one other school. We were on the 3rd floor of another school. So we were all over the place in the school district. So we hadn't quite gotten together as an integrated unit. I mean, even though the places they put us, some places were mixed with other white students, but some were not. Like our 8th grade students, they were all together, all black together at one school because they were waiting for the other school. So they didn't get the experience. But the day that we went to school and we finally got into our new school and we were bused, because that's what it was called, busing. And I'm all excited because I had already gotten a little bit of it from the 7th grade because we were at a school that was mixed. It was white kids that was at the school, and they added us 7th graders there, which, there were hardly any black families that lived in the neighborhood in the school that we were in because that was the white side of town, if you understand me. So then we got a chance to cohabitate with a lot of white students. I was having a ball. I loved it. I love meeting new friends. I found me a really good close friend. We were rivals when it came to the test score. Either he was number 1 or I was number 1. It was like David and Carl. And I loved it. And I loved meeting new friends. And it was fun. We were kids, so we knew nothing about the whole segregation thing or what was going on behind the scenes. All I know that I had some new vanilla-looking friends, and I was excited about it. Yes. But when we finally got together and everybody was coming to the main school, we were bussed up, and I'm thinking, oh, here's some kids coming to greet us. No, they weren't coming to greet us. They were coming to throw rocks at us. So our bus, as we drove up to our school, they were throwing rocks at us. I was like, what is going on? I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, that was how we were greeted to our school. I know there's a lot worse stories, like Boston Independent School District had a horrible time with integration, but ours was lukewarm. But it was kind of, anything in Texas, they keep it on the DL. They're not going to put it out in the news. Texas like to look like they're doing good, but we weren't. And so that happened. Now I have to preface this by saying the neighborhood that was around our school was a poorer white neighborhood. On one side of the freeway, you had the well-to-do upper middle class white families that were doctors and lawyers and things like that on one part of our neighborhood where our school was. But on the other side of the freeway was a very low rent and I should say trailer park kind of dwelling place. I mean, there was some trailer parks on that side as well as low income families, and those were the people that were there with the rocks. Mind you, I want that put that in context because this brings us to who MAGA people are basically not. Those are the ones that came with the rocks. But you know what? At least those people were not afraid to show us who they were and not hide behind. I was more afraid of the ones that were in school. Now, I think about it, the ones that were in school now who were just placating us just because. At least those guys told us right then they didn't want us there. But that's the story of coming back there and why we are wired like we are. So then let's go to, I've already graduated from high school. My high school ended up being integrated. By the time I graduated, I first started in high school, my school was probably like 60-40, 40% black, 6% white. And then as I got to be a senior, it was probably about 50-50, of that. Maybe blacks had a little bit more, maybe 50-48, something like that, 52-48, whatever. And we started having class reunions, and I come to find out, I thought we were cool. I thought a lot of us were cool friends. But come to find out that we had never not included our white counterparts when we planned class reunions. We weren't doing a black class reunion, but we come to find out they had been having their own set of class reunions with just the white people. Some of the white people would come to our family reunion, our family reunion, class reunion, our class reunion, and there were a whole lot of them that didn't. Then I found out all these years they've been having their own. These are people that I thought were my friends in school and things like that, but they never really wanted us there. And that's sad. That is sad. And I thought all of those relationships were lifelong. There are still a lot of them that are good. I'm not going to say that they weren't. I got some good friends out of high school, but a lot of them were surface level. So that's disheartening to find out. And I only found that out just recently. I was like, really? For some reason, I got a hold of a Facebook post and I followed it. I was like, oh, they're having their own reunion. And I kind of told the other class, I said, did y'all know they're having their own reunion? It was kind of crazy, but it's okay. You can do what you want to. So we have never stopped inviting our white students to our class reunions, even though they don't come. They've never invited us to theirs. Just want to point that out. So there we are. So my life started, when you grow up in the South, you have a different branding on the experience of America. The Northerners, they get it too. But when you grow up in the South, it's a different kind of molding on your life. So I have always been this rah-rah person that wanted to, let's all live together. Everybody used to say it's Pollyanna at best, Carl, that's going to happen. But I've always been hopeful, prayerful, that day would happen, And we've made some successes, guys. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like that. I think that we're just a horrible society. We haven't had any accomplishments. We have had a lot. But there's still a lot of work to do. And this is what I don't get from my white brothers and sisters. They think that everything is done. There's no more to talk about that slavery stuff. Everything is done. We're equal now. And we are by the law, but not easily by the law. We had to fight for this, guys. Do you understand that? Do y'all understand that? Why this is so triggering to us right now? Right before our eyes. We're seeing stuff that happened back I was like, am I in some crazy nightmare where people are saying what they want to see. You look over social media, they're using the N-word like it's nothing. I mean, they're marching, the Klan is back. What is going on? What is going on? And why are so many people normalizing this? And why are so many people that cannot see what's happening? What's happening? So, you asked the question on why black people are like we are. And that's because, guys, we've been fighting this stuff for so long and we're just tired. We're so tired of it. And I was looking at Rachel Maddow. I love Rachel Maddow's show. She's so good. She always gets good information for everybody, whether you believe it or not. And she was showing all of the town halls that have been showing up. Do you know who's mostly there? It's so ironic. It's mostly white people that are protesting Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I don't know if they're red states or blue people. I don't know. But I know that it's not a lot of black people out there because we're tired. And it's so ironic that you're the ones fighting for your civil rights right now. When we try to tell you, guys, we know what this looks like and it's happening. Again, you cannot put him in there. And it hurt us so bad to see how white women ended up voting after all the stuff that we tried to warn everybody. How Latinos ended up voting. How the Palestinians and the Muslims here in America ended up voting. Yeah. And Asians ended up voting. Some of y'all voted overwhelmingly MAGA. And we tried to tell you what is happening right here. So now we're seeing all these scenes of white Americans protesting, And I'm not wanting to say that we have given up because we haven't given up. We're doing a protest in a different kind of way. We're going after the pocketbook. That's what we're doing. We're just not going to buy nothing from anybody. We'll show you the power of the black Americans. But the protest, guys, we tired of it. We are really tired. And it's going to take us a moment because, the black women, they on break. The 92%, they are definitely on break. And they have told us that they're going to be on break for a while. So a part of me feels just numb of what's happening. We are a proud group of people. I'm talking to my Anglo-American friend. We are a proud group of people, and if you go back through history, we have always embraced you guys. We have forgiven you guys. We have invited you to our churches. We have let some of you come to the cookout. We have olive branched you guys for years. We have. And it's so disheartening that in this election, when we needed you the most, turn your back on us. Yep. Because as y'all know, guys, the Democrat Party cannot win an election without the black vote. It's just the way it is. There's not enough of you Anglo-Americans by yourself to carry the Democratic Party. You can't. It's not enough of Democrats that are white liberals. So you have always had to have the black Americans to help out. And it used to be Latino Americans, but I'm confused on what Latinos are thinking now. Some of you come from some of those dictator countries and you're conflicted. And there's a lot going on with your culture that I don't want to speak on because I don't know. But I have seen some video on what's going on with y'all's cultures and how you don't like to be all lumped together. And there's a lot of stuff going on with being Latino. So we can't really count on you being a POC that much anymore because I don't really understand if you are or not. Some of you are, but some of you are not. The Afro Latinos, we know, kind of stand with us, but I don't know about the rest. I just don't know. So the reason I wanted to do this look off the cuff talking was just so that I wanted to be raw and just come off of my heart and just say what I'm thinking. Black people have contributed so much to this country. We have so much. And do you know what the one thing that we've always just wanted? Just to be equal. That was it. We didn't want more. We didn't want to take over. We just wanted to be equal. You know? We wanted to come from being, 1/5 of a human? I don't know what we were in the slave, into a real human being. That's all we've ever wanted. So there's this war on DEI and everything like that. And everybody says that everything can happen now because we're even now. This is reverse discrimination. There's no need. Y'all don't need all that stuff. Be quiet. We're sick of hearing it. I hear you. I hear you, white people. I do hear you. But I was looking at one of the political shows, pundit shows, and I think it was Newsnight with Abby Phillip, and one of the guys goes, "It's human nature. People are going to hire who going to hire. They're going to hire who they want to hire. So I don't know." I was like, and one of the other pundits goes, "You just said exactly the reason why affirmative action and DEI are around, because people will hire what they look like. People will do these things." So diversity, equity, inclusion was basically just giving you, here's a pool of people. They've been vetted. If you want to, pick some of these people. They could really make your organization look better. You know, and most companies wanted to have a diverse organization. They just did. Until Mr. Donald Trump came along. And everybody else, it's a bad word. Being woke is a bad word. And so, that is why it came along, guys, because people are not doing the right thing. They still are not. And when I looked at that cabinet meeting and looked at all of the white men that were in there, and I even went to the internet and pulled up a picture list. I wanted a picture of all of the administration and see if there was any diversity. There's a little sprinkle. You got a few little women here. You got Marco Rubio. You got Scott, who's an urban housing urban director. And there's some assistants and some lower things or whatever, but it's not very diverse. So, and that's okay, because they don't think that we're worth anything to do these jobs at all. So this is personal. This is personal to black people. And right now you're not seeing a lot of us fighting because we're tired of it. The reason these things are on the laws that we have, other people of color, is because black Americans fought it for you. We did the work. Or we're going to have to do the work on this. I'm kind of enjoying watching the white people at these town homes screaming and whatever. I'm kind of liking that. I said, good. Y'all see what it feels like to have your civil rights messed with. Oh my God. I just had an epiphany. God, is that what you're doing? Y'all know I know that I'm very spiritual minded in that. Is that what you're doing, Lord? Are you letting them see what it feels like to have their civil rights tested or compromised or being powerless, not being able to do anything? And you know what? And when I say this, I know that a lot of those people out there fighting are people that have fought for us in the Democratic Party. And I would behoove me to say that I don't appreciate them, and I do. And a lot of them are out on social media asking, where are y'all? We need you. We needed you too. We needed you too. And I don't know, guys. This has been a jarring experience. I really didn't think that we would put this guy in office, but he's here. And then I have to just talk about this subject. This is a subject that kills me. What happened to the integrity of people? I sit and watch these pundits defend Trump to the hilt. No matter how horrible it is, they can find a reason to say he's doing it because, and it's right. None of them will go against him. What has this man done to you guys? What has he done? Can somebody please explain that to me? Is Mr. Trump ever above reproach? Is he? Scott Jennings, you have defended this guy so much. And I'm going, what are y'all fighting for? Tell me, white people, what are you fighting for so vigorously that you had to come in with this regime of destroying our government and making a mockery of the United States Constitution and everything that we stand for in this country? I look at the MAGA people and all of Trump and his loyalists, and I get sick to my stomach. I do. I get sick to my stomach seeing Marco Rubio sit there when I know that all these people, some of them have some integrity, are going home, having coffee chats or bedtime talk with their wives. And he's making me, and I'm sure you're cussing Trump out like crazy. But you're a coward. You're a coward if you won't stand up to him. We could do something now. We really could if the cowards would stand up. But so many of those cowards are so inbred with white supremacy and things that they can't see past it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Donald Trump included. I saw a clip of him from the 80s where he was talking about he believes that a black person with a lot of experience is the same experience as him is going to get the upper hand always. He said that back in the 80s, so he's always been there. So this is personal to us. Y'all can call us clowns, you can call us anything you want to call us, you can call us lazy, whatever, but it's nothing to do with any of that, guys. It's pride. It's what we have fought for all of our lives. And you know what? We just trying to live a life just like you in this country. Raise a family just like you. Find some wealth just like you. Be safe just like you. And to tell us now that we're not worth anything, you're trying to get rid of our history, stopping the books, stopping people from learning. What do you think? How do you think we feel? How does that make you feel when you say that? I don't know. So, we are proud Americans. And guys, as much as you want us to just shut up and not do anything, and y'all think that we're going to sit back and let you just railroad us into some anti-racist culture again, that's not happening. Don't sleep on what black people can do. Don't sleep on it. We may have retreated right now, but we're still there. Trust me. And as long as we know that we have God on our side, because we are praying people too, that we will persevere. So I know that I'm going to have a lot of stuff in my comments from my little MAGA people. Like, boy, this guy is delusional. This all kinds of stuff. But because you can't really reach the MAGA person. Something just is so off that I can't point it out. But occasionally you do. Every now and then you might find one. But anyway, so today, thank you so much for listening to my off the cuff. I had to get that off my chest because I didn't know how to express how I've been feeling. And the way to do it is just to talk. And now that I have this podcast as a platform to get that out, some people can listen. So my name is Carl E. Long, and I'm so glad you joined me. And this is another episode of Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. Y'all, we can make this country work. We can make it work. We just got to do it together. Bye now.